everybody. Hey, Karen. Today, it's kind of, we can't be making fun of people not having like more in there and then not do it ourselves. Okay, listen. We have been playing, what would you call it? Live stream roulette. No, not really. We would put one up to schedule it, take it down, put it up, take it down. But we made it, and that's the important thing. So it appears that Tiny's getting old, and that's okay. It happens. He was about 18 months old when we got him. We've had him for almost 3 years. Is that right, Sean?
Yeah.
So he's starting to slow down and a little bit wheezy or whatever, but there's one, you know, when one is retiring, there's another one rising up the ranks. Exactly. Exactly. That was kind of like but still, you guys know, especially Tiny is like our main dude, man. We got him, and like a day after we got him, he had a run-in with a husky that he survived, and
He's been our alpha for a while.
he has been. So it happens, you know. Do I need to move this back?
I'll make do.
Okay. I want to take the sign down behind us and use a different like motif for it or whatever. But I suppose that is like, I mean, when like people will say, hey, X-Tabla, people will say like, why do we do this self to us over and over again? Mainly talking about like dogs and cats and other things that people adore, and chickens as well. But they say, you know, they live for a finite amount of time, and we do it and we have them, and then we have them for this amount of time, and then we have to go through the morning over and over, and then we get another one. And I guess it's a part of being able to feel and being human, but it happens again and again. And look, we love our chickens. There's no doubt about it.
I don't think I brought my bag of shit in from the car, did I?
Isn't that it on the table?
No, that's a new bag. Well, that's just where my Red Bull is.
You mean your plastic bag?
Right.
So it was, today we were doing our thing. I was doing Instacart. Sean was doing his DoorDash, and like right off the get-go, the brakes start grinding. So really, we could have gone back to it. We went to this car repair place that we know. They did it. Hey, Clancy, you were out earning some cash. You got to catch that money. That's what I'm talking about.
That's what it's about, dude.
And so they said that the brakes obviously weren't like completely done for, but they were close enough done for.
I mean, I
need to move it where we can both see.
I adore this woman, because I'm out there thinking 3rd of July, the 4th of July, and it's money making if you're doing that kind of stuff. And all of a sudden they start grinding, and I'm like, fuck. And Mandy's like, well, I'll follow you over here. Let's hurry up and get these brakes done today. And the guy did.
Yep.
He got them done today. Yeah.
His eye's been watering. Got them done. We could have gone straight back out and gotten back to it, but we wanted to come live with you guys. And there was wildlife that I wanted to film. Where did you get that?
You got me this thinking that it was Cheerwine. I'm a Cheerwine drinker, but this is called Ale 8. And it's like anyway, you got this for me months ago, and I drank a couple of them. The first couple of them that I drank, I was like, maybe I'm just not into Cheerwine.
Like a Shirley Temple?
Yeah.
It's like a Shirley Temple, right? I'm going to take a drink. Yeah, it's a Shirley Temple. You could get grenadine and Sprite and do but anyways.
Yeah. But it's not Cheerwine.
It's not Cheerwine. Cheerwine is your favorite. So what's the latest, greatest, Sherry Pie? I haven't seen you in a while, and of course I said hey to Karen. I want to make sure I said it out loud. I saw her when she first came back, when she was first in here. She was #1. My first internet alias ever was Rabbit Chicken. Oh, I love it. Back in the old days, there were rabbit everything. That was kind of, everyone would do that in an animal, depending on.
I'm not prepared for this. I have to go.
You have to
Welcome
go
to
into
YouTube
your
Premium. No, I'm not doing that.
I'm not doing YouTube Premium. Absolutely not. So what's the latest, greatest around these parts that we missed?
We gotta
I want to know. I want to hear from the people.
from the people. Because I got some shout outs and some thanks to give after a second. But what is
my mom passed in October. Oh, I'm so sorry, Sherry. I'm so sorry. That's so, I can't even imagine. It probably takes, I mean, between, the mourning and the grief process, and then there's so probably much paperwork to do. Was was your father still alive, or was your mother the widow? Because I know I've heard from a few people lately who have lost their spouse, older ones, that the paperwork is ridiculous, that they end up handing out these copies of the death certificates, like they're some sort of Uno cards or something. And they say they understand it has to be done, but it's hard, because you're just handing it out over and over and over again. You know what I mean? And then if you're calling some place, they're going to want to know, the date, just all kinds of things. But anyway, prayers and condolences. I've been playing Fallout 4 on my PlayStation. He does, when Fallout is on the game system, there's not much more going on. I hear from the Fallout fans.
Yeah.
Married 45 years.
In the last, I'd say, let's bring them up to speed. The last week, my dad got a stent put in. That was last Friday. We just haven't had any time to go live. So Dad gets another stent put in. He goes in for this procedure. They go in through his arm and up with a bunch of wires, and they put the stent in.
Did you know all that's left after that? Hey, Reachable is just a little Band-Aid, right? A little square Band-Aid is all that's left after they do it.
The worst part was the other arm where they did the IVs, and the guy who did the IVs wasn't
it's
real
called
good.
blowing the vein.
Yeah, and he blew a couple veins, and his arms were real bruised up. But he's back and he's home.
I'm not a pro with phlebotomy or whatever. That's what it is, right? What the drawing blood is considered phlebotomy, I think. Right? Well, I have heard though that when you tie the tourniquet and you try to find a vein, you have to, after a certain period of time, you got to let the tourniquet go and try again. Because if not, there's so much blood being pressed that it will, puddle inside your arm or whatever.
Reachable. Hey, Stitching.
It's good to see you guys in here. Hubby bruises with all IVs. Doesn't matter who does it. Okay. Thank you, Sherry Pie. So, when I was having surgery, like my gastric bypass, they went in through this. They ran the IV in through that.
Yeah.
Which is painful because it's very bony. Hey, Black Dragonfly.
I was just amazed because my dad, he's 84 years old. He's not going to have anesthesia. He can't do it. He's too old. So when they're doing this procedure on him, he told me he was watching it on a screen. And he could actually feel a little bit like going across his chest when they were going in there. And I'll tell you this. My dad's got a lot of color back in his face.
Yeah.
He's got some energy.
Feeling better.
When we did his birthday in the beginning of June, he had a really hard time moving around and going back and forth. And so this hopefully gives him some relief and some energy. He said it was cool. He said as an engineer, because that's what my dad was in his trade. He said as an engineer to watch that happen on the screen, he said was amazing. I was
bet.
Like, no thanks, dude.
Just the way that it maneuvers through or what have you.
I'd be like, no thanks.
But did you know that you can get melanoma in your eye? I might have talked about this before in a live stream. You can actually, your eye doctor can detect it and watch it. And to treat it without getting into, too many details, they put a radioactive implant in your eye for a week. You wear a lead patch, to obviously keep the radioactivity inside. And then it comes out and they see if it's gone. And most of the time it is. Isn't that wild? Isn't that wild?
It is wild.
I had no idea such a thing could be done.
So Lizzie's going to have a heart ablation.
Yes.
I know what an ablation is generally when you have things. How is a heart ablation? Are they going in there and is that like?
I would imagine usually getting scar tissue and stuff out. I would think.
I always knew
Sure she'll tell
ablations to
us.
be like getting rid of
Oh, you have a mole in your eye. Okay.
getting rid of like extra veins and stuff. Like when say you have an ablation, like say in your skin or something like that.
It could be. Yes, dragonfly, exactly. They watch it to see if it like grows or changes, and then they look for certain earmarks, and if it meets those earmarks, then they're pretty confident that it's melanoma. They said it's happened many, many times before they would watch it and before they even had any idea that that's where it would start in a lot of people. So isn't that weird?
X said, I didn't know you had gastric bypass, Mandy. I have heard it is complicated and a painful process.
Yes, I did in 2009, and then I had it revised in 2015. 15, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he's like trying to find his place on the couch.
Said my heart was racing at 240 for over 3 hours.
Oh my goodness.
That was one of the things that the problems they ran into after putting the procedure on my father was his blood pressure. And you know, when you get one of these stents that it's supposed to bring it down. It's supposed to his blood pressure was crazy high.
Yeah.
And finally when they got it down okay, again, 84. They got it down under like 200 over whatever, and they said, okay, it's good enough to go home. I'd be like, fuck no, it's not okay to go home.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But anyway,
I know insurance has a lot to do with like how they decide how many days you stay in the hospital but also they say that the benefit like of the like everybody wants to be home. Nobody wants to be in a hospital. That in itself helps to heal and heal quickly is just being in your own environment.
If I come out of a procedure and my blood pressure is like 220 over whatever, I ain't going nowhere.
You're
And
like,
so that was my
right
thing and the other thing that happened was he was in there at like 8:30 in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy the heart doctor got called away. There was a life, I guess what's not life threatening. It was
like life limiting.
It was a lot. It was they needed him. And so he had to leave for a couple hours and do, I guess, a surgery on somebody that came in. I don't know. They didn't say exactly what it was, but so he was there from like 8:30 in the morning till like 9 o'clock at night. And
long day.
For some of us, that's a long day. For a dude that old, that's an excruciatingly long day.
And you have to fast.
Yeah.
Until, and so if your procedure gets pushed back.
I mean, the reason why we're saying all this is,
oh, puppy.
So my dad is like the rock of our family, and he, has been we moved to Georgia when COVID happened in 2020, I'll remember. And he had COVID and it had took his toll on him.
Yeah.
So we've been caring for him, and it
helping to care for him.
Yeah,
He's not,
we've been
he's pretty
he's an independent dude, but he's very stubborn.
Yeah.
So that's what Mandy and I have been doing. Okay. One of the reasons we've spent time together, but also to help out over there, not doing the post office thing and just spending more time with him. That has been like, in my mind, that has occupied my headspace for the past week, was just making sure, number one, he could do it, and then watching him, being over there every day for the past week and sitting with him, and he looks great.
He's funny.
He looks great.
He's hilarious. He is so funny with it. I mean, I love.
We're looking at his charts. I took him to a VA appointment, and I was looking through his thing, and I was like, "What is this like stage 3 whatever?" And he goes, blah, blah, blah. He says whatever, and I said, "But this is like in your kidneys." He goes, "Well, there's just going to have to get in line with behind everything else."
He's like, "It's just going to have to get in line."
But
we garden update for those who give a shit. The marigolds are flourishing. The chickens do not like them. It irritates them that they're there. There's about 100 shish kebab wooden sticks in there so that if they try to navigate their way through it, they can't do it just to get to the dirt. Yeah, I'm gonna have to post this clip. I went to film the deer was here and all of this stuff, and we've got such a cool neighborhood. The next door neighbor's screaming at the news, so that gets picked up on it. The guy across the street, I think, pulls the Sean Kirley and threw a gaming system into that dumpster they have.
Oh, really?
No.
To pull a Sean Kirley, you've got to come off of like 20 feet up in a tree.
No, but I mean, like,
on a rope.
Supposedly, like, when you used to get frustrated with video games, you said yourself, like, you've thrown controllers.
Controllers.
Okay, so you hear him come out, and he's like, oh my, piece of, and he takes it, and you hear it hit the side of the thing, and that's what it sounded like. It was a gaming system, and ricochets off, and I was like, well, you should, and it was all on film.
Clancy says, I've been looking for a good spot in the yard to make a worm bed, so I have fishing bait. I used to sell red wigglers. And
you even made them yourself.
Yep. They were, so I was probably like 11 or 12, lived in North Carolina before we moved to Atlanta. And so they, basically it's just this styrofoam. And you know when you're little, things are like that stuffed animal that you thought was 6 feet tall is really just, so even at 12, you know, I had this, anyway, it was like a styrofoam cooler, and you buy a bunch of worms. It's like 100 or 200 or whatever, and you put them in there and you layer it, and they have the cornmeal and everything, and you keep it in a cool, dark place, and these worms reproduce. Yeah. And then you have red wigglers throughout the summer when you fish at the golf course in North Carolina. At the country club.
But then I found out you didn't actually belong. You just lived there. Andy said, Uncle Jay has pulled me aside a couple of times to give me a talking to about life and about what to do and what not to do. I've had more than one meeting in the Kirley Lane basement with that awesome man.
So not only has cousin Andy sown his royal oats in Kirley Lane, but he also apparently had some life expounding events from my dad.
He does. He's a very wise man.
So yeah,
mine too.
To put it in, So cousin Andy, our mothers are really close in age. So you know, it's been, you know, everybody's in their 70s now. So it's like,
everybody has grown up, right? Everybody's grown up. The chickens will eat the worms. I had a neighbor today who totally was doing some gardening.
I did. I'm gonna get some drops.
She said that she had been digging some of the stuff up, and that there was a whole bunch of worms in it, and that she had a wheelbarrow full of dirt and worms, and she wanted to know if our chickens would want them. I said, absolutely. And so she brought them over, and she said, where do I dump them? I said, you dump them right in the middle of the yard and stand back. And she did it in the pile over the course of the day. The chickens, of course, scratched in it, dug in it, pulled it aside or whatever. So it was really, really fun. And the chickens loved it. They're still nosing around in the dirt, but they have liquidated all of the worms.
I must have brought the bag in because it's got that little...
Annihilated, not liquidated.
The little stuff from allergies.
Yeah, we're going to have to... I think it has to do with, like, didn't you try to wear contacts or something and then it didn't, it did again?
No.
Let's see. I've been, that's so funny. Hey, Yoga, how are you? It's good to see you in here. What was, nobody's told us the latest and the greatest. So we're going to keep talking about chickens and... No, I'm just kidding. Yesterday, and I know it's not everybody's cup of tea or what have you, but there was a, so remember when that brilliant, tragic decided to call the police department in Connorsville and say there was smoke billowing out of the store, the back door of the store, said store had no back door, but what's the use of fact checking, right? Just go with it. So there was something filed because that's concerning. So Clara filed something. Hey, Donna.
But you got to even go back
because it's to what?
You got to go back to Owl.
Oh.
You know, because see, like when Tragic was doing his, I don't know why he thought that was a smart idea to.
Because Sam told him to do it.
Because Sam told him to do it.
And told him to do it so he'd look stupid.
Yeah. Because that's what she does. And so we know, because our circle of friends or Clara's circle of friends.
No back door.
There was a bunch of us that knew that the cops are knocking on Tragic's door. Answer your door, Tragic. You big wuss. Just answer the door. I mean,
voicemails.
If it's not
all
your voice,
kinds of things.
If it's not your voice, if it's not you grab the paperwork, you go straight into court, and you say it wasn't me, and you let them investigate, and then it's not you.
I mean, he was getting phone calls like, I've got out-of-state papers that I need to give to you. Pick up, answer the door, meet me somewhere, do whatever, and he wouldn't do it.
He wouldn't do it.
So not only did he not do it, he didn't obviously file his, request for a remote hearing or anything. So he was supposed to be there in public.
He's running.
He didn't show up or whatever.
I mean, look, dude, nobody likes to go into court. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes if you're falsely accused of something and some magistrate or constable knocks on your door and hands paperwork. Mandy and I have had to go through that. You open the door, you get the paperwork. If you're innocent, no harm, no foul. You take the paperwork, you go take your ass to court. You tell the judge, I didn't do it. They have to prove you did it. And that's the end of it. Why would you duck? I mean, we have there was another example of someone ducking.
That joins the open the door.
But that's the thing. But I bring up Owl because the whole time there's a small gang of us. And, Owl fancies herself as like the investigative sleuth, like the trusted source. And she was saying things like, I know for a fact
that there is no hearing.
That there's no hearing. And there's a whole gang of us out here that are like, yeah, there is. You don't know.
Yeah, you may not be. The point. You're obviously not looking in the right place.
Right.
Or you don't have the authority to look in these certain places.
People who are going to sit there and do their live streams and tell you, I know, because I know how to find all this stuff. You don't. Because if you've got a punani running around that won't answer the door when the cops are trying to serve, it's not going to.
Well, that was my question. Like I asked Sean because, like I said, Sean hasn't been, to college to have a degree in any sort of journalism or whatever, but he was a public affairs officer in Iraq, so he knows certain things. And I asked Clara as well. I said, when we're talking about someone reporting something and someone says, I know for a fact that is that something that journalists are
there's two things that you never say.
No.
The one thing you never say is I know for a fact.
Right.
You even when you report something or you state something, you will take a piece of paperwork or the words and you would say according to this source. That way, if it is wrong, you have a source to fall back on.
Even
the other things you never say is it doesn't matter in this case is you never say no comment. That went away years ago.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you never say no comment. You will say something like, I can't discuss that because of whatever reason. You never just sit there and go, no comment. Even when they were, or I plead the fifth. Now that's okay in court. It's just not going to be okay when someone's like, can you?
My other question is, remember when the Dan Rather thing happened, not that any of us in YouTube are on that level, but he stated categorically that he knew for a fact the documents that he had been presented with that show that George W. Bush had been given favors to get out of going to Vietnam,
something like that.
Something like that. And he said, well, it turns out, hey, Mama Ricky was wrong. I was not a valid source. That was the end of his career, and he'd had a fairly illustrious career up until that point.
And it ruined it.
It ruined it.
But I mean, it's one of those things that, I mean, we can call a spade a spade. Owl gets people in there to watch what she has to say because she gets information and this and that, and she says, this is what happened. And so it was rumbling around that this was that DC media girl, that Clara was going for tragic for this stupid ass phone call that he did that everybody knows he did. It wasn't just going to go away. And Owl, and it was really kind of
Carlos.
It's good for drama when someone goes, I know for a fact, because there's some people that do know for a fact that there is something going on, and then there's people that don't know, and there are people that trust her. But it just goes to show that nobody that here does this YouTube stuff is going to be 100% with everything they try to find out about shit that's going on. I know that fairly well because of my past. They don't know. They think they know. They drum some stuff up. They throw it all over up onto the drama thing. But when it really comes down to proof, they don't have it.
No.
And that's
No, and it did happen. It absolutely did happen. Another source that
talk to
another source that has it pretty much correct and been dropping shit left, right, and center is Kiwi Farms. Kiwi Farms.
I gotta give a shout out to Kiwi Farms.
Right. Nobody
I got you.
They, you know, Samantha had wanted us on those farms for so long. She wanted us to have a thread. Now, to be fair, Sean was on Kiwi Farms before being on Kiwi Farms was cool.
And I was like, look, it's an overrated experience. I mean, the farms is there for a reason, and they take all the, they take the locales and they take different people and they plaster them. They give people information. Right. We have Stitching Girl for that. She will come to us and she
will help us.
Feeds up, you know, fills up our feeds with certain things to go watch. I would be remiss if I didn't. But they find
things that, speaking of things that are hard to find, that they get a hold of. So they've produced the marriage document of Samantha and Corey. So they are in fact married, it appears. Good on you, Corey. That was an intelligent move.
All the other stuff, that the backstory about
her job, they had to, she owed a vet, you know what I forgot to tell you? She owed a vet, and it wasn't even a lot of money. It was some dumb shit like what's her name would do, and didn't pay it. And so they were going to garnish her check. And so they went, that's how it posted. New Albany, she was working at some dental clinic, and they came for her at the vet clinic.
Did Owl find that?
Well, no, but this is what happened. Within the last few days. I'm not even
trying to be snarky.
Within the last few days, Yaba paid that vet bill so that it would stop coming up as like a debt.
Yeah, I know what it's like to have somebody that's so fucking unstable that you got to run around and you got to pay their bills and you got to freaking pay up a lawyer. You got to keep a lawyer, and then it just keeps popping up. But Kiwi Farms has been doing.
They're sick of her. They're sick of her.
And you know, when you sit in a position like Mandy and I are in right now, when you have somebody that's just. It's now come full circle. There are people, and we saw it right in the farm. Somebody said, used to be, that when we saw Sam go for ATX, that it was like, okay, they have beef. Let's sit back and watch it, and you know, in back and forth. But it's now fairly apparent that ATX isn't beefing with Sam on the same level, doesn't give the same shit that Sam does, and
it loses its allure after about 7 years.
And that it is really, really kind of like weird.
Yeah.
How, I mean, and the beat goes on, but again, that's not us saying it. That's not someone else.
It's a lot of people saying it.
It's a lot of people saying it, and now it's on, and now the Farms is saying it. It's like, this is fucking weird.
It's very weird.
She will, at the expense now, I'll say, at the expense of her sanity, at the expense of her, what's the word I'm looking. I mean,
well, she has no credibility. So
that's at the expense of all of that.
Right.
It's so like it's more important to her at this point to somehow get at you some way than it is for her own. I mean, if she spent a quarter of the time working on her channel about something else or with her wife than she does on stuff about you, I mean, I guess what else would she do?
I don't know.
We take off from the internet for a couple weeks, and it's like, dude, she's just fucking going nuts.
Yoga's like, it's awkward. I don't watch, and the truth of the matter is, I really don't either. This most recent thing that she did, which I'm not even going to we're not going to really give anything merit. I didn't watch it. I have no idea. I've seen screenshots. Whatever clip where it says I have no bounds when it comes to her, so she's just justifying whatever, Sam.
But I mean,
whatever. You're continually doing dumb shit.
People are like, you got to see this. No, we don't got to see it.
Like what?
It's like,
what recently?
What does she think is going to come of it?
Oh,
that's the thing. What do you think is going to come of it?
One of the little tidbits that Kiwi Farms has, I thought that it was on public. Thank you, Midwest. I thought it was on public, but it wasn't. It was on private, because people were asking me, where can I find the clip where she read her summons out loud that Pirate had said?
Here's the other
one.
I
said, it's on my channel. It's on my channel. But he was like, no, I would know if it was on your channel. So I went in and it was on private. So I unprivated it. I think at one point maybe Samantha had shut her mouth, so I put it on private or something. I don't know. So that is on this channel. What happened was Pirate was having her served with a legal document because, much like me, Sam was apeshit crazy obsessed over Pirate. It happened from the day one. She didn't want Pirate to be friends with Savage. She didn't. So she went for and it was really silly. So that, you're not chewing a hole in that, are you?
You better not be eating it.
So that little clip was played because she did it real quick and then I guess thought better of it and put it on private when she made it. But the reason she was reading that summons out loud was because Pirate had tried to have her served at her dinky little apartment where she was like, you know, held up stalking Yaba, and she wasn't there. She wasn't accepting service. So Pirate was like, okay, well, I'm going to serve you at the next place that you might be, and that's Yaba's house. And this was not Yaba's
Midwest
house
Wicked.
that Yaba has now. This was the house that she had with baby daddy and with her kids, like her home. Okay, so at that point, so she said, I'm going to have it served there. So lo and behold, Sam trucks it down to the courthouse, gets it, and reads it out loud.
That's how that
happened.
happened.
As she's reading out loud, she's trying to be tough and whatever. But as she's going down, she starts to get more and more bothered and more bothered. So she cuts the stream and puts it on private. I happen to have that clip, and I had it initially on private while the litigation was going on between Pirate and Sam. But then I was able to put it on public after it was done. And I guess I put it on private because
I'd forgotten all about it.
Right.
But it
she tried to strike it. I remember we were staying at your, she tried to strike it. I fought it and I won it because it's whatever. But that's where that clip came from.
And the thing about it is why that's two instances where
Thank you so much.
Sam was running. She didn't want to accept service. She and Tragic, you know, are both, they kind of do stupid shit. And then when it comes back on them, they're like, I'm just not gonna, I mean, sooner or later, you're gonna have to face it. But because, and it was beautiful by Pirate, because she was like, I'll just have to serve it to Yaba's house because I know you're there. And, you know, Yaba was like, girl, you better go get that. Don't have the cops come into my house.
And at one point, way long time ago, Pirate was a nurse at the, she was very open about it, at the jail. They called, Sam called her employer all the time. But she was like a nurse at the jail. Why in the fuck would you fuck with someone who works with police officers?
Because she's not. She gets in these, she's in a space,
right, Karen.
like, she's got the pathology that she will, I don't know, man. It's like, it makes you understand why her family, I mean,
right.
You know, some of her family members, pretty affluent people
had political aspirations.
Political aspirations, and they were like, "We can't do this with this one." You see what she tried with Pete Buttigieg, right? Y'all, we might have to dig through that. Maybe we have some stuff that
she hated this dude. You know Pete Buttigieg. He was an Indiana governor. Was he the governor and then was running for president or the mayor?
I don't. He was the mayor.
She hated him for whatever reason. She freaking stalked him from government building to government building until they finally had to put out a restraining order against her. And she always revisits it and says that's not true. That's not what the restraining order was for.
Doesn't matter.
But she'll admit that it was a restraining order.
But she admits it. Oh, that's
the mayor of South Bend.
Yeah, the mayor of South Bend.
Yeah.
If you are going to talk about one of the many restraining orders that have been taken out on me, let's make sure you get these facts right.
Right. Yeah. So she was like, that was what was crazy is when she didn't have that to obsess over anymore. Like for a while she was on the political warpath. She wanted to go for the police department for unfair treatment that she thought went on there. And it probably did. I mean, you know, I think that as a country, we've had to look at a bunch of stuff of some of these, you know, departments where they were doing things without any oversight. But once, you know, she was done with that and it had run its course, she turned her attention to 24/7 trying to get Yaba. That was what happened. Like
while making, and the thing that Pirate did successfully, it's like one of those things, and I don't know this word for word, but you go to an attorney and you say, I have some money. And they say, well, I don't know, you know, explain the situation. And they're like, I don't really know what you're going to get out of this, like a winnable case, like you're going to win some kind of order, whatever. But you can make their life, you can let them know that, hey, I've got representation.
I'm going to make you keep coming back
and
to
I'm
court.
going to make you keep coming to court, and I'm going to chase you around, and I'll make you think twice about what you say. Right now, Tragic is thinking twice about what he did and what he's saying because I'm assuming, and I don't know this for a fact. Al would say I know for a fact, but I'm pretty sure that our friend went to an attorney and said, "This is what this fucktard did. what can we do? And he says, well, I don't know what our chances are or whatever, but yeah, we can at least drag him in front of a judge and see what happens.
Over and over and over.
Well, or
again.
just
for
just
the
like
same, for continuances.
the longer that you freaking, I mean, it's going to get to the point. I remember situations where, sort of in personal situations from years ago, where the authorities would literally wait for her to either go online so they knew where she was, or come over to the, to my place or whatever, and then they would come get her. That's what it's going to boil down to.
Right.
It's why this whole thing with, you think of all these people that are kind. You remember for years, for the couple of years that I've known, who AK and Alex Glitter, and hey, we're waiting for y'all to cam up. AK, Alex, cam up. I'm going to say that every time we go live. Just cam the fuck up.
Yeah, because I'm curious if this picture that they're putting out saying is her, this one.
Yeah. I mean, if that is the picture of her, she should just cam up.
I don't know.
But
I don't know.
The people that were following Tragic's channel, before the 3 or 4 times that he had to take like a mental break, he didn't have a lot of things good to say about Sam, and he swore he swore he would never. But you kind of build your fan base a certain way, and then when you betray that and you do an about face, it's not like all those people that are over there, now that you're being Sam's lackey, her lapdog, it's not like her people are going to come over and sub up to you. They're not doing that.
No.
You don't see these channels growing. As a matter of fact, Sam's numbers continue to drop. She's back under 9,000 again.
Yeah.
And it's the same for people who watch Sam and like Sam. And she would not be friends with somebody. And people, even in our own streams, sometimes we mention people and they're like, we don't like them. You know what I'm saying? It's like if we bring up certain names, they're like, I hope. Now, what if we just did an about face and just all of a sudden made an alliance with them? It's the fickleness. I mean, and Randy is the one that's famous for that. That's why she's nicknamed the Noodle. People watch that. That's called respect. And that's not really loyalty, because there's no real loyalty here. But that's what people are watching this and they go, I don't respect this dude.
Right.
He talked over and over and built the channel. And one of the people that he was firmly against was this one. And now all of a sudden he's friends. Sam's people, they don't like Tragic. They don't respect Tragic. And the same with AK and Alex Glitter. Their people that did follow them are like, we don't like Sam. We don't fucking like Sam.
I cannot believe that Sam doxed Alex's entire family, and she just got over it.
And people were reminded her that all the time, I'm sure. They were like, I don't know if Alex has a circle that, because I don't know how often she goes live, like on her channel, and has like people that come into her streams. But I'm sure she's had plenty of people go, Alex, what is going on in your head? That woman doxed your entire family. That some of the horrible things that have happened in your life and your family, she put them all on blast. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Exactly.
I'm not down with that. And that's why their channels aren't growing.
Well, you're exactly right. That's why it's never going to get past our little bubble here.
It won't. Because everybody there, I mean, they're going to watch. They're going to watch the drama. They're going to watch the shit that Sam tries. Sam's people are even going, this is fucking ridiculous. People said they looked in her comment section of whatever her last thing was, and they said it's the same 8 people leaving like 3 or 4 comments. And that's really all she needs.
Oh, whatever that one thing is, that expose that they kept saying, that's an amazing trailer. This is going to be epic. Like
it'd be like the same. There's like, they said if you go through all the comments, it's like there's a few, not everybody twice or 3 times, but there's 2 or 3 or 4 people that just keep commenting like over and over.
And so it's going to be it's supposed to be another video about what a piece of shit I am?
Something like that.
You've done that a million times.
She's done that a million times, and that's what everybody's saying. And then that's the thing is, let's say that in this situation, I mean, what does she think's going to happen when it doesn't happen?
Right.
What does she think's going to happen again? It's like, remember she went on and did this big expose about what I was doing in the post office and why I should be fired from the post office. I never got fired. It's just over and over and over again. She gets people all riled up.
And that one comment that I loved, and it was, when are you going to tell us that you got fired for plowing a coworker. I feel like we could probably figure out whose name that was that said that, because plowing a coworker,
it was a very male thing to say.
Right. It's very, and again, y'all give him so much credit.
It's not like it's not, and I'm not, I don't know, maybe it's sexist, but it's not a girl thing to say when you refer to a guy getting with somebody.
Oh, baby.
That he's plowing. But anyway, when you look at some of these comments, Mandy will tell you, this isn't me, this is Mandy. Mandy is like, Sean, they're walking around like you just pick out whoever you want and sleep with them.
And they said the same thing about me.
Yeah.
Like when they were like, whose husband are you going to steal next? Someone said that to me one time in a chat. I think it was Isaac's chat or something. He didn't say it was someone in there. And I said, I'll take your husband. And then they just
But it's like they're sitting around and they're making Mandy out. They say that she's this ugly, big, nasty chick. But apparently she can just go and just pick whoever she wants.
I just peruse around and decide whatever. It's interesting. It is. That's part of what is in the title of The Obsession. The obsession with her to make me not be perfect. Like, oh, she thinks she's so perfect. I don't think I'm perfect. I don't think that there's anything perfect about me. But for whatever reason, the series of things that I do and how I conduct my life, how I love my simple life with my chickens and my husband and my dog, that really bothers some people.
And
it really bothers
We don't
them.
even really have to talk about that. Everyone else is doing it now.
But that's what I'm saying. Like they're just under the surface. It's like, it's not like she shows it. She's really, selling her pets on the side. I mean, it's a puppy, whatever it is. They don't take it at face value. Well, if you don't, you don't have to believe that this is my life. Right. You don't. But you're not going to find anything that when I'm not doing this or when I'm not doing whatever, that I'm and fake Rolexes
selling stuff on the black market or a hitman or a triple agent or anything. It's just us here.
Just us.
And yes, I would not be 100% if I wasn't like every once in a while we're like, just drop that. Or when people come, just tell them this, because it takes very, very little to get that side over there just totally fixated on you. And once again, what do you think is going to come of it?
Yeah.
Nothing.
I don't know what she thinks is gonna her desire.
What's that?
That's all I said. Oh, it's the cockatiels are.
You were like right in mid.
Well, no, I was making sure it wasn't Eleanor meowing at the door.
I'll go check.
So I love how you're so laid back about drama and social media. It's just not all that important. It really isn't. People should not be so invested in it that they get...
Chiclets changed their name.
To Chiclets Pondu.
She sure did.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I say hello. What is that? I don't know what Pondu means, but I like to see the Canadian flag.
Do tell us what Pondu means, Chiclets.
So when I say that we really don't get too ruffled about this stuff, we really don't. Even when people try to bring our families into it, our families figure it out too, that it's it's happened, it's whatever. And basically you've got to be able to turn this off and then be done with it. Like,
that's what's so amazing about it. We can be, how many live streams have we done in the past 3 weeks? I think this is like our third one. Like maybe we'll do, like a week ago we did a couple, like 2 days in a row, but then it was like 2 weeks before that. And it's been another week since we've done this one. And the beat goes on. I mean, people are like, they're so boring. They're this, they're that. Another one that's noticed it, and I want to give a shout out to, is Gigi Gaining Ground. If y'all don't know who Gaining Ground is, type in Gaining Ground and go check him out.
Nor there with them.
I mean, he'll tell you over and over again. I really don't know anything about them and don't really, they're whoever they are, but he's even taken his platform. He's got a decent sized platform that he's sitting there saying this chick, Sam, is obsessed with ATX and Sean again. So now we've had the farms have been doing that for a second, and now Gaining Ground has done that too. Thank you for that, bro. I mean, it's whatever, but thanks for noticing that and putting it on blast.
It's never ending. It's never ending. Can you imagine what would happen if she literally just stopped worrying about what the hell I was doing for like a month? Like
That's what's so
what if you
weird to
didn't
me.
know? What if
It's
you
like
didn't know what I was doing? Would that drive you
it's
crazy?
like you are not allowed to go away. We thought that about someone else.
Yes.
When we don't make content, Mandy and I don't, someone else would go nuts. It's Sam too.
Yep.
It's like we're not even doing anything.
Right.
But it's being noticed, and I double down on the fact that these channels will not grow unless I'm wrong. I mean, I'm a numbers guy. Sam will tell you that. I'll take a look and I'm like, what is the allure of, coming at us and you're not going to mess up our good life. You're just not going to do that. But is it a lot of times, like early on when these channels would, in the drama community, it would be for numbers, you would be for numbers.
We don't have numbers.
We don't have a bunch of numbers and we're good with it. We had a time when we had numbers and this is funner doing it this way. But it's like I'm looking, and for the life of me, I can't figure out why the energy is there. It's got to be pathology.
Well, and you're right. Chicklets, you have a good point, and all of y'all do, but this says if she was friends with you till you got with Sean, it must be something about him.
I mean, people have thrown that around, but now that she is apparently gay, she's not. Maybe it's about Mandy. Maybe it was about me getting with Mandy and taking Mandy. I mean, you got to remember also that Mandy and ATX and Sam were doing the boardroom at the time that Mandy and I got together. They were still doing the boardroom. I knew the boardroom got monetized before Mandy knew that it got monetized. It was just crazy. Yeah,
it's insane to me, and a lot of people will ask me, like, especially not a whole lot of people in my real life anymore, but some will be like, if they come across our social media, they'll be like, that there's this girl that makes tons of videos about you, tons and tons and tons. And I'm like, oh yeah, I know who it is. Yeah, she does. And she's like, but I don't understand what she's talking about. She says that you're evil and you're this and you're that. And I'm like, well, I either am or I'm not, but it really doesn't matter.
But I mean, it's like most people that are here, when somebody goes for them, they can find something.
Right.
You can't find any scandal that Mandy's done in her life. There's no legal troubles.
There isn't anything. There's nothing. I know you've looked. There's nothing. A bankruptcy and a divorce is just about all I have to tell.
They tried with me. They tried to dig up my psycho ex and how she treated me. And people know. People can look at that and know it's not true. But about once every year, 18 months, they'll drum that up again and try to put it out there. But then what eventually has to happen, the good channels that know for a fact, they'll go look for the police report. All this stuff happened to me.
Yeah.
And I, did all this stuff. And they said, well, okay, we'll go find something. Go find something. Go to a police department where this happened and go get something to show. And it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
Y'all will notice I'm sneaking chewing ice because I am anemic.
Guys, it's time.
Eating
I don't know if
I'm eating the heated up pretzels again and chewing ice, but you have to be
under
anemic enough to qualify to get an iron infusion. Is that not some bullshit? You can be anemic, have all of the signs, the restless leg at night, the all of the different things that go with the anemia, but until you meet their certain level, you get nothing.
So when she ends up in the hospital now, it was about a year ago, little over a year ago. Yeah, a little over a year ago. And the doctor that sat me down,
Stitching.
and he was sort of chastising me a little bit, but it was for educational purposes. He's like, look, and he didn't grab her, but he's like, look at her eyes. Look at what they look like. Look at how ivory white her eyes are. Your eyes are supposed to have little squiggly,
under there,
the veins and stuff. Mine were, it was a very good example because I used to wear contacts all the time and never take them out. And then the doctor told me that my veins were starting to come up, like my contacts were actually skin because your eye's trying to breathe.
They were morphine.
Yeah. So with hers, it was the opposite. There was none. He said, so when you see that, when her hands are cold, there's little things, their extremities are cold. These are things that you can't ignore. You have to go to the doctor. So, and then she starts chewing ice and eating the pretzels and doing the stuff. She'll lose color. Her eyes will get sunken and things like that. We've been to the doctor a couple of times, and he's like, "Yeah, your hemoglobin's down, but it's not low enough."
It's not low enough.
I mean,
no, I was telling before.
No, but
Chiclet's happy for.
Stitching says eat some fish.
I have heard everything from fish to cooking in a cast iron skillet.
Mm-hmm.
I do take a supplement to just give it a try. They said it doesn't really help because nothing's absorbing.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much
the person that mentioned the gastric bypass earlier in the chat. It was in my head. It's like the doctors that we see that treat people for absorption problems and the low hemoglobins and stuff that have had gastric bypass. They're all saying, 15 years ago, when it was a great idea to have this surgery done, or the type that Mandy had, you are going to run in 15 years later.
Yeah.
Mandy had it right in her late 20s, right?
I was 30, I think.
Yep. So now here 30, it is. Yeah. Here it is 15 years later, you're having absorption problems because when, the byproduct of that is they take out parts of your stomach and there's things that help absorb iron and help, which helps produce blood and the hemoglobin and the iron. And so when we took her 14 months ago, she had half the blood in her system that she was supposed to have.
Which is crazy you think about that.
And so here we are. And I'm not going slamming the doctors, but we're like, here it is. Yeah. It's happening. Everything's happening. And it's kind of like, well, it's not quite low enough yet.
No, it's because your insurance has to deem it low enough.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, another thing. So I was taught apparently. So there is a mole. We said that there's a mole coming out of the Noodles camp, but beyond
the noodle is Randy.
They were saying, I guess Wendy and Randy were going on and on about how sin is so evil and nasty, and
you're evil too.
Yeah, because there was an unknown picture that was taken of a fully clothed person that, whatever. And it's like, no, well, first of all, it doesn't make you evil and awful and all of these things. It makes you a bitch. I'll give you that. It makes you a bitch, but it doesn't make you all these other things. The other thing is you're on Rumble, so nobody knows what the hell you're talking about.
And the thing about it is the reason we're saying it that way, we have friends that are on Rumble. And Rumble, but Randy, Noodle, and Wendy both themselves, this is their words. It's not, Mandy's not saying it like everybody that's on Rumble is worthless, because we have friends that are, but Randy said it. Randy said Rumble is for losers.
So there's never ever, most people don't travel in that exactly
stitching, and those were Randy's words.
So when you start talking them shit about all of that stuff, nobody knows.
So when you talk shit and you get struck or you do whatever, and that's the other thing about this stuff. You know how many?
I know, Sawyer.
How many strikes do we have?
None.
And the reason we don't is because we are not going to throw someone else's stream up there, right? Like you've got AK and Alex over there. They won't let you see their face. They won't let you see their likeness, what they look like. But they want to show everybody else. They want to review and this and that. And I mean, most of the people, I would say that about Sam and Yaba, they've cammed up. Said it about Randy.
But they didn't do it on a vertical.
Right.
They didn't do it a horizontal
they didn't. They did it with, holding the bottle.
Take another picture. That picture that you're using of yourself for every single stream, is that the bet? I mean, it's a decent picture, but is it the only one you have?
It's the only one she has. It's
because I'm like, she uses it for everything.
And Wendy's picture is like from the Dr. Phil era. Yeah. She doesn't. And that's the thing.
They went to Rumble. So
they went to Rumble.
We can't hear you.
But Randy, she cammed up and she's looking rough. Didn't like the pictures that we put out there. We'll just shut the fuck up about sin and other people because we're happy to help them. But she cammed up. So we're just waiting on AK and Alex and One Wen. We'd like to see you guys cam up. And you guys can say fuck off. We don't have to do it. But it really kind of takes away from you throwing other people's videos up and talking shit about other people and, slowing the pictures down, making memes of people, right? Alex making memes of of Negs and Clara and ATX and all that, but you would be aghast if someone freaking got your fucking face and put it on there. Isn't that right? So just cam up.
Yeah.
You hypocritical bitch.
You can put it like low light. We've always said that, low light. Jude, yeah, we had this hemoglobin thing at the same time. You're right.
That's right.
We were both struggling with that. I forgot about that. Let me see. Yeah, Jude's like, I haven't gotten the texting down yet. But that's I still have your wreath you made us right on the back of the door. Love it.
Yeah, it's
and our
there.
Little chicken, the sculpture you made for us. We have all of that stuff. We keep it around the house.
Yep, we do.
We remember who gave it to us, especially if it was made and things like that. It's like we really genuinely feel like we've got a niche here in this part of YouTube.
And even if we didn't, there's other people out there that think we do.
And y'all don't care about, the things that people say about us, true or not true.
I think the coolest thing about our group is for the longest time, people would come into our mentions and stuff when we were doing whatever on vacation, or we took a week or two off, and keep us up with what everyone else was saying about us over there and that. And after a while, it stopped. I think it took people a while to understand that we really didn't give a fuck what other people were saying. And what I said a couple of years ago is the more they do it, the more they're just going to expose themselves, and other people are going to start looking over
Sean
at them.
Said, just hang on.
Just hang on. I mean, it's if we just live our life, then we can always come back. We can always come on and talk to you guys and put, right now we got, because there's been a lot of people talking about us and stuff, we'll get 100 people in the chat.
People just genuinely curious what all the hubbub is about.
Yeah, they say, what are they going to say about it? It's like, well, we really don't know. We have our close circle of friends that
I don't know where that thing is.
And you guys know that DM us, and they don't even tell us unless it's like we're hearing this, and then they tell us, and it's like, yeah. But even our really close friends rarely tell us, because they know, honestly, we'll get around to it. We'll see it. We'll see it when we want to see it, and we'll get around to it, and we'll come on here, and we'll say the same stuff we always do. It's like, okay, and then what?
Yeah.
Really, and then
there's
what?
A couple of things that have gone on lately that were probably IRL things that were done by someone. Nothing huge, nothing earth-shattering, but again, were probably done by someone on YouTube. Don't care. Fixed it.
Yeah, we just fix it.
Yeah.
I mean, this one dude right here. And then I've taught this one here is that if you're going to sit here and do this, occasionally people are going to go IRL, and you just rock with it. You figure out what you have to do to keep it moving. And most of the time, the one thing you got to do to keep it moving is just nothing. Nothing. Just nothing.
Nothing. Don't acknowledge it at all. The
first couple times you go past that house and this dog, this just barking, and you're just like, oh my God, or you might even go talk back and go to the owner.
It's usually our house.
And tell them after a while, you walk past that yard and that dog barks. And you don't even and you just keep on moving. And then normally the dog will stop barking at you.
Yeah.
Not in this
analogy.
Not in this community.
Very good analogy. We got this thing. One of the things that Sawyer does when he wants to shoot across the street to go see the neighbors or whatever without even thinking. And we're on a cul-de-sac, but like I said, it scares me. So we got this little thing. We haven't used it yet. Will you grab it? Because I want to see if anyone, it's right there. I want to see if anybody has any experience with it. My dad said he used it to help with his dog doing the same exact thing. Because I'm like, nothing stops Sawyer in his tracks, like to stop, because I'm afraid when he runs into the street. Do any of you guys, I'm not going to push the button. Have y'all seen this?
Don't push the button.
I'm not. It emits a frequency that like animals can hear, apparently cats too. But it stops them in their tracks. Some people use it for barking, or you can use it where you push it so that they, you can get their attention immediately if they're doing something. I'm curious to know if it works.
If we lived in like an area where the road was busier, it would be a real hazard, because when Sawyer thinks, he'll see a neighbor, he'll see whatever, he knows we're not going to smack him for it. We
No.
know we're not going to
No.
lay a hand on him. So he takes off and does whatever he wants to do.
My biggest fear is he's just going to shoot into the street at just the right. And I've tried clapping my hands. I've tried like ringing a bell, sharp sounds to break his, you know, because once they bolt, man, they're beyond reason. You know what I mean? So
and that's right.
My parents said it worked.
I personally am like,
I'm scared to use it if it's really, really going to hurt his ears. That's why I want to know if you guys have used it.
Yeah, so my father-in-law said with their dog...
Is my chat broken? Is my chat broken? Nobody's talking. No, I'm just kidding. Really, nobody is.
When he says not only, you know, because like when one dog gets going in the neighborhood, all the dogs bark. He said he would use it, all the dogs would be quiet.
Like every single dog would like be quiet when he did it or whatever. I'm just curious. It was not very expensive. It was like $25 or whatever. But before I use it, I want to know some feedback from you guys about it. There's the other thing that I could do, I guess, is, I don't know, a fence won't work. Freya had always sat and watched people and other dogs. I haven't leashed Freya since she was 6 months old. But you've got like one of those dogs that are not people pleasers, but that like to be obedient and like they're very, very master oriented, I guess is
Shih
the right
Tzus aren't
word.
that.
Shih Tzus just
don't
aren't.
give a shit.
Coffee can with pennies, okay.
Shih Tzus are one of the few breeds of dogs that they're not out to like please their masters. They don't. I do get him to fetch, which people have said is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
You know, my dad's dogs, they're like golden retrievers. They retrieve. Sawyer will do that with me, and I've had more than one or two people go, "That's amazing that you got a Shih Tzu to do that."
Yeah, he's like, but he's got to be in the right mood.
Yeah, he does.
He's got to be in the right mood. So coffee can with pennies, that sounds like a good idea too. Used to what I would do when he wouldn't listen is I've got any of Sean's vlogs, either the ones that he has on public or ones that he had sent to me. I could play it and turn it up. And sure enough, wherever he was, he'd come poke his head out to see, like, he's like, where's he talking from?
Nope.
We even use a couple of, really, at the horse farms. They're a phenomenal way to protect your animals from danger. Thumbs up. It only takes a little bit of time to regret forever. That's what I'm saying. Yes. After a while, all you have to do is show it again. And that's what they said about this controller, too.
Stitching my dad's golden, like his last dog was named Tucker, but his golden retriever before Tucker was named Freya. Freya was like, and Freya was... They got Freya about the same time my youngest daughter was born. So when we got back from Germany, someone asked me about Germany earlier. They asked me about my European...
It was ex-table.
Yes, if you're still here, I meant to get back to it. That would have been 92 to 95. But when we came back from Germany, my daughter was about 3 months old, and so was the puppy. And so that dog was in our life, and it... You know, bigger dogs don't live sometimes as long as smaller dogs, but Freya lived to be about 14.
Was it 14?
So. Yeah, something like that, all through my daughter's life. My experience at X-Table, if you're still here, in Germany in the 90s, this was the early 90s. I was there as a military, U.S. military personnel. I stayed on, first at a little caserne that used to be a World War II Nazi hospital. And then you can still, like in the back of the wall, if you look real close where they've sanded off, you can still see where they had it. That was in Neubrücke, which was near Baumholder, which was near Trier on the French border. It was cool. And then I lived in Schweinfurt, which is more in the central part of the country. What I remember about that is there were a lot of American soldiers there at the time. There's not as many anymore. The mark rate was about 1.8, meaning that there was 1.8 marks for every dollar, you know? So I had just missed the late 80s when the mark rate was 3.8, when, you know, you really were doing well as a soldier living over there on the economy. Mm-hmm. You could get a lot. I liked it. I was there 3 years, but I'm very American. Like, I like to watch football on Sundays in NASCAR and stuff like that. In the early to mid 90s in Europe, there wasn't a lot of malls, you know, everything closed about 5:30 or 6. So, you know, there was like convenience stores or anything. You could always go get a beer. There were pubs everywhere.
Say, probably, and they served food.
I did everything that I wanted to do in the first 2 years. I went to Amsterdam. I went to Prague. I went to Austria. Went to Paris. I drove trucks back and forth from Luxembourg. I didn't get all the way out to like Spain. I didn't go to Switzerland. That's the one place I wish I would have gone. But I got to do a lot of things and visit a lot of places that people pay a lot of money to go visit.
Yeah, exactly.
And I got to do it in my early 20s.
Yeah.
And so it was a good experience for me. And I got by everywhere, speaking English. The French don't appreciate us as much if we don't speak French, but everywhere else was kind of acceptable.
I've heard most of those places, if you just try to speak their language, they really, really appreciate it.
Did that answer your question? X Table said, yes, I'm here. One of the things I did learn, 1994 was the World Cup. And it wasn't in Germany. It was, I'm not sure where it was, but that the country grinds to a halt for World Cup. And I've heard that a lot of European countries do. That was kind of cool. I'd probably be a bigger soccer fan if I lived in Europe longer because, they have all kinds of soccer leagues like we do, like NFL and stuff.
He's not a soccer fan.
But World Cup was like the Olympics. Everybody is, everybody's stopping what they're doing, putting it on the TVs and stuff like that. Well, and the cable over there in the 90s wasn't the same as cable is here. But the Germans had whatever game was on. They figured it out, whether it was like Mongolia versus Ghana, they'd have it on.
They'd have it
for the World Cup. So that was pretty cool.
That's very interesting. Yeah. My brother-in-law went to World Cup in Germany. Very cool. Hey, grandmas, how are you?
I'm looking up where the 1994 World Cup was. I think it was in Europe somewhere in 94.
Was it?
But
we weren't in Europe at the same time, right?
Not 1994 World Cup.
Soccer is sacred in Europe.
Oh, it was in the United States in 94.
See?
And I happened to be not in the United States. That's cool.
I have a Shorkie, and he has very sensitive ears. So, like, I think she's talking about the pet trainer thing, the clicker thing. Yeah, I want to know from people before I try it to see what experience they have with it. And then I guess there's also a warning one where you push it and they know that the next one is going to be the sound, but it's just a low beat before it goes to the next one. These are things, and I don't want to just try it randomly, so I've got to wait till he's out there in danger of doing it so that I can try it out. Well, you know what I mean?
She says soccer is sacred. What I also knew is the best soccer players in the world didn't play in the United States. It's different now here, 30 years later, because of the Major League Soccer league that has been around for a while now. Okay. That a lot of the top European and South American players will play on those teams because the contracts are big.
Right.
But there were names that, the big soccer players in the 90s that, the common American didn't really know unless you watched soccer.
Right.
And now with cable and with the Major League Soccer League and all that, Atlanta's got a team. A lot of those guys are here part of the year playing in that league, so we know who they are now. We didn't before.
I literally think the only soccer player I know is David Beckham, and he's very old. Not very, but I mean old meaning he hasn't played in forever.
He's about my age now, right?
And there's one more I know.
I mean, guy, you're a really good soccer player when you only have one name, like Ronaldo.
Who is the one that ended up? Who was a soccer player, but ended up marrying not Gwen Stefani.
No, it was David Beckham. He married Posh Spice.
But there was another one.
I don't know.
I can't think of it now. I had a controller when I had to use it. All the animals that were in trouble. I've heard that too. That's what my dad said too.
Grandma's words to you. Hello.
She's here. Hello. She said hello. So she said hello back. Mm-hmm. It's good to see you guys, and it's good to be finally on a schedule where we can sit down and do this.
I mean, we're gonna get the iron infusion and this and that. Mandy is feeling the way she's doing, but she's also out working, and I'm out working, and yeah, like today, like I said, I was working and my brakes just go out. And this was at probably 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the day before, 4th of July. And there's literally not going to be, most of this, like the place I ended up taking the car was like booked up all of Friday and Saturday.
I knew they would hook them up though. They always do.
Mandy is like, get it there. And I pulled it in there and the guy was like, yeah, I can do it today. If you want it today, I'll give you 10% off. And I mean, I can get right back out working again if I need to tomorrow or the next day. I don't have to wait 4 days.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see tomorrow what kind of businesses or whatever. I saw a few people wishing happy 4th. What do you guys have going on for the 4th of July? As I've made my way around town, I've noticed that lots of people, because Lake Lanier is nearby and other things, they are pulling their boats.
Oh, yeah.
And I was telling Sean that when I look at that and I'm like, okay, so so these people pulling their boats and that's their thing. And it seems like that's the, I don't want to say affluent thing to do, because there's lots of people that have boats that aren't affluent.
Right.
But it's like, should that be something that we want? Should that be something that we work towards? Is it, because we are total boat whores. If you've got a boat and you'll take us out on it, we're there.
We will. You fly, we buy. It's your boat, we'll pay for the gas.
But I just don't.
Boating is for all ages and all walks of life.
You have to pay to store it. You've got to do whatever.
Yes.
So, but anyway, it's a whole conversation I had with myself a couple mornings, and they know, like, and so then I was asking Sean, I was like, do you feel like, as people that live near a lake and have spent time, in Texas, are we supposed to get a little used boat that we can pull around? And he was like, no, we'll just ride other people's boats.
I mean,
that's what but you're right.
One of the things you want, like on the water, like I have seen when I lived in North Carolina, you would see people with these $200,000 boats, and they've got to be built a little bit sturdier for the saltwater, and they've got to be equipped with several $1,000s worth of like sonar, because if you're going out off,
but where are they?
Shore,
where do they live?
And they'll live in we have like a 2,000 square foot, like huge trailer, like, people can say it's a trailer, funny. But most people are like, that's too big to be a trailer.
They're like, no, it's a trailer. It's our trailer.
But you have people that have a single wide, like a little 600 or 700 foot little trailer that they live in, and they've got a $200,000 boat and an $80,000 truck pulling it.
Just depends on what your priorities and what makes you tick and makes your life better. You know what I mean?
They might have a couple of jet skis on the other side of the trailer that they're always working on. But people that love the water. That's what I've heard.
Listen to this. Jude says a boat is a big hole in the ocean where you pour your money.
That's
true. What I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I look at these ones that they're selling on Lake Lanier. Right? As people are aging themselves out of their houseboats, you can get a nice houseboat for $150,000. And what I mean, you can get an okay one that you can work on for $80,000. But you look at what you're paying for a house, and you can get 1,000 square foot boat, just if you look at it, because if it's two different, and you can pay $100,000 and some for it, but there you are in the water, and like they said, it's.
But you have to pay for a place to park.
You got to have a place to store it. You've got to make sure the engine's good. If you're like Rick Sykes and they kick you out of one spot to the other, and you can't fucking start the boat, then you got to pay someone to tow it. I've thought about
had a boat.
If I had more money than I knew what to do with, we could, have one.
Presley, hey.
I was just about to say, someone go get Presley. She was just texting us.
Colorful hearts. Listen, the other thing is, I quote that I've heard that a second happiest day in a man's life is when he buys a boat. Do you know what the first happiest is? When he sells it.
We used to say that.
Whether or not that's true or not, I don't know.
I mean,
but it is the same.
When I first got to North Carolina in 2013, the guy that I rented my place from had a boat, and it was just a little it was just a John boat. It was a John boat with like a 15 horsepower engine, and it was on a trailer. Yeah, he's like, I said, how much do you want for that? So he gave me a price, and it was like $750 for everything.
And you're like, I'm gonna sail away.
And I freaking bought that boat, and that motherfucker never moved the whole time. I didn't even take it with me when we left, because I was in a situation where we had to leave everything all the time, and that boat.
The fireworks are starting.
I took the engine, which was still good, and I think I sold the engine to somebody for like $300 or something like that.
I've heard that's the most expensive part of the boat usually is the engine. If you can recover nothing else, you can recover your money from the engine.
Yep. But yeah, I think that's kind of when we look at our golden years, Mandy and I both are like, we're going to take care of parents on both sides.
Yeah.
And then we would like to be by the water. I like Galveston. If I wanted to be closer to my family up in New England, then, Outer Banks, or it's kind of expensive, but South Carolina, not North Carolina. Oh, there's the fireworks, but that's something we agree on.
We were on the boat in Mississippi and loved it for the weekend.
I know she was down there. No.
Because they're probably running 15 different directions.
Remember last year when the emergency services were out there and Ugo came and the lights were shining.
Like he was busted. Yeah. It was funny. But we are going to jump off here. It was good to see you guys. When I know y'all are like, promises are hollow, but what normally happens is when I sit down to edit, I fall asleep.
Yeah.
So I've done though the slides that explain everything. Now I just have to put them with the pictures, but we haven't forgotten you guys. We haven't forgotten our members. And I
am one of the stars of it, but it's all her.
Yeah.
And if I had anything, if I had the slightest knowledge, she'll tell you. She's like, just step away from the computer. You don't. I've been on this YouTube thing for 7-8 years, and
well, I'm gonna get it done, and you guys know that, and that's all that matters. We are going to go. Yeah, they're already starting there too.
Yeah.
Sawyer is not largely scared of fireworks, but you can tell he's not too excited about it. So we're gonna shut the chickens up.
I want to know, Presley. Send us some pictures of it. I have always wondered what the river boats are in Mississippi.
I heard they're romantic.
I know Presley's super stoked
Pontoon
about
boats.
it for the last 5 or 6 days. She's been talking about her and the hubs going down there, and that's cool. The way I understand it, because they're on the water, they can just like you can gamble on them because they're not on land or some shit like that. That's phenomenal.
It just has to make it a certain amount off of the coast, and
but some of them they don't even start up and move.
You just
sit right there. That's what's pretty cool.
Yes, pontoon boats are amazing too. If I did get a boat, that would be the one I went. And apparently they go faster than people give them credit for.
I've seen pontoon boats with a decent enough engine. They're pulling a skier.
Yeah.
You got it. Not all pontoon boats can do that. What I like about pontoon boats is because I like to catfish. And you can put a pontoon boat. Catfish are down a little. It's not like you've got to go up the tributaries to, you find the channel or where the catfish are, and you just anchor right there, and you can fish right there, and you can sleep on it. I've even seen people that bring grills on their pontoon boats, and
so they can grill the fish when they cook it.
Well, I don't know, but if it's me, yes, not everybody will catch fish, but yeah, for us,
fish fear you.
They do.
We love you guys. We will see you again really soon. And
Tragic, open your door. Get served. We want to see what happened.
Yeah.
We want to see it.
Just open the door.
Just open the door and get it over with. You're a drama guy.
Even AK answered it live.
I mean, she did. That was, AK was shook when we answered it live. But
even Tragic was like,
well, that's bullshit. He was like, I got to rethink this whole drama stuff. They're really starting to sue people around here.
We'll see you guys later. Y'all have a good night.
Yeah. Happy 4th, guys.
Happy 4th. Bye.